Welcome. These will be my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 8, Coda. The episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for the episode and all the ones leading up to it. And, yeah, as usual, all of these so far, absolutely love. All of the ones I've watched. I haven't watched past this one yet. So, they went ahead and fucking did it. They actually killed off Beth. So I just read the IMDb trivia. I was not the only person upset by the decision to kill her off. There was a petition to bring her back, and apparently the really fucked up thing is the um, shit. I forget who, but someone apparently got death threats over it, which is like, don't do that, like, ever. Um, but yeah, goddamn, the show's not going to be the same without her. It's good that it has such a great cast in general that it can survive. But yeah, and you know, Daryl carrying the body and Maggie being devastated. She is the only surviving member of the Green family. You know, when we met her, the entire family, you know, like I think their mother was like the one person that wasn't, and gradually they just got whittled. The family unit got whittled down, and yeah, I think that might be the overall. Yeah, uh, so the whole Dawn thing has been concluded. Um, and I thought they did a really, really great job. They really capitalized on all the tension. Um, yeah, I think that is all that. Yeah, scene by scene. So the let's see, the very first thing, right? Yeah, Bob, Officer Bob. You know, trying to cut himself free, and Rick chasing down. Love the part where he like just dispatches of a zombie without even slowing down, just running. And the yeah, you know, he gets into the cop car and drives after him and tells him, you know, stop running. And at first he doesn't, and then Rick hits him, and then he does. And yeah, um, they did a really, really great job on that, because like, yeah, they talk about afterwards, you know, I mean, the person who believed in this plan is now dead. Maybe this changes everything, maybe it changes nothing. um and yeah, like the fact that, you know, some of the last stuff Bob says, you know, um yeah, he asks to be taken back to the hospital, which is one of those things, like, on the one hand you can understand why he would want to go to a hospital in his current condition, but like, Rick can't trust him. You know, he ran so far away and refused to stop when Rick was, you know, so yeah. And his very last words are, "You're gonna die." So yeah, I get that at that point he probably knew that Rick was going to kill him. You know, he was either going to mercy kill him, or he was going to leave him there for walkers to deal with. But even so, yeah, he, yeah, they did a really great job. I totally bought his act. Um, yeah, I think that does bring us back to the warehouse. Yeah, the Rick and Daryl go up, and yeah, the two remaining cops both claim, first one of them is like, well, I mean, if Dawn thinks that you killed one of her cops, she'll never work with you. So what we'll do is we'll say that we saw him die at the hands, or rather teeth, of rotters. And the other cop, I love this misdirect, because he starts out saying he was one of the good ones. I mean, a few rape apples don't, spoil the entire cart. Well, it kind of is the saying, though. A few bad apples spoils the cart. Anyway, the group, the grouping of apples. I'm not saying that I'm not sure Officer Bob was a rapist. I'm talking about, I want to say his name was Gorman. But yeah, he says he was one of the good ones. Too bad the rotters got him, and I think that brings us to the Dawn and Beth. The thing about, so I like that so yeah, one of the first times you see Beth in the episode, they talk about, well, can Beth sew? Is she any good with that? And not long after, you have the thing about, well, Dawn didn't hide the elevator key, so Beth is, still willing to like hide things from her. And yeah, the last thing that she does is, she hides scissors, 69 and 64, whatever. You know the reference. And stabs Dawn, because Dawn is dawning. And okay, I appreciate it's not the exact same. It's not needle and thread that she's using as a weapon, but still, like, small, some, yeah. And the cop is abusing the elderly guy, and like, I mean, he's already accepting. Like, he says, "I'm sorry, I forgot. I'll do it. I'll take care of the sewing." So he pushes him to the ground, and Beth is about to like, yeah, confront him, and Dawn, Dawn gets Beth away from there, saying that she needs her help. And I forget the exact order. Let's go with the no, yeah, I guess the next thing is the Beth sits there, and yeah, Dawn just straight up asks, "Are you gonna jump, or what's the what's going on here?" Because, like, she knows that's how that happened last time. And Dawn makes the rookie mistake. You hate to see it. College Humor warned us about this some years ago. Don't scheme in hallways. The other cop overhears, and there's that thing about, well, I'm going to tell the others that you're letting a cop killer, go free. And as soon as he turns around, she points her gun at him, takes the safety off. And yeah, just the whole that whole bit so tense. The way that he points out, we celebrated, with cigars together. You knew my wife, these various things. And like she's letting him get way too close. She should back up some. And I think it's because he is getting to her, and the pressure in general is getting to her. Everything's falling apart. All these people dying around her. She has to figure out whether or not to cover for Beth. Um, yeah, and you have the yeah, great fight between them. I love that they both fight dirty. Cops are indeed taught to, and both of them get some pretty effective moves in. And yeah, at one point, Beth goes up to try to, and ultimately she can't do that much at first in the fight itself. But it buys Dawn enough time that she's able to get the upper hand. And the cop ends up standing, with his back to the elevator shaft. I still remember the way he laughed. And Beth runs up, goes, "Cop killer, I play one on TV," and pushes him. So, yeah, they really, she is not a delicate little flower anymore by the time her time on this show ends. Uh, yeah, and the let's see. Then we have the I like the line. You don't need their love, but you do need their respect. And it is this thing of like, when there's no real accountability. Yeah, at that point, it really does boil down to, well, do they respect the person in charge enough to do as they say, or is it gonna get all Lord of the Flies in here, And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. In a way, it's very apropos of now because law enforcement are really being incredibly fucked up to, protesters and yeah, immigrants. On the other hand, that is them following orders rather than doing something that goes against what their bosses say. But yeah, and yeah, the thing about, well, they're not answering on the walkie-talkie, which, like, we know why. And yeah, Rick talks to the, I guess actually was the next thing. I think the next thing is the yeah, the two of them talking on the rooftop. And yeah, it was really, really great. The thing about, Tyrese admits about, Martin. And yeah, she feels like a fool. And it is that thing of like, yeah, I mean, if they completely abandon their humanity, then you're not really living, you're just existing. um but they do also, they're also not going to be living if they trust the wrong person at the exact worst time. And this did come a little close to that. So, but I really appreciated him comforting her and confessing about Martin. um yeah, Rick talking to the two cops. And I love the attention to detail on the show. They tell him to um, put his weapons on the ground, and he does so slowly and using his non-dominant hand. That is, I've heard that as being part of police training. Normally they would tell the person, okay, here's how you're going to put your weapons down. In the times where they don't just like shoot, including if there's no gun. And okay, I'll just very briefly note, I watched so many of their videos now, I forget which one it was, but one of the Majority Report videos, they noted that basically, Trump's cabinet, when they're not trying to figure out if, they have, what was it, the ex-partner of the founder of Antifa? Interesting. Or if Antifa goes back to the Weimar Republic, in which case, how is the partner of the founder still alive? And also, if it's Weimar Republic, remind me, what were, like, if that's the case, who were they fighting again? But yeah, Majority Report pointed out, they want Trump's cabinet want there to be, really like flashy protests. They want it to look violent, which, that's not really what, like, when you look at recent leftist protests in America, they don't tend to get violent unless law enforcement starts violence there and they're defending themselves or the like. Anyway, but yeah, they clearly really badly want that, and it's being frustrated by people in adorkable costumes, including one who sang a wonderful cover of, I would say his name was Gary Jules, Mad World. I guess it might still be. I have no idea. Literally all I know about him is that song, and I might have just gotten his name wrong too. Now, yes, the yeah, very clever. The thing about, hey, we've got 2 of yours, you have 2 of ours. All we're proposing is a trade. Just contact your lieutenant. And the thing about, where's your people? And Sasha shoots one of the walkers. They're nearby. Yeah. I think that does bring us to the let's see. So we have yeah. Getting ready to leave and hiding the scissors. And I also, right, there's also the scene where Beth and Dawn talk, and the thing about, I get how it is here. Everybody takes advantage of somebody else. And Dawn insists that she didn't take advantage of Beth. And I also quite appreciated Dawn did actually confront the cop, but only about the, she said that he stood by laughing while Gorman raped. And again, I appreciate, we don't need to see that. There's already so many scenes of, in fiction, of male cruelty towards women. If it's not gonna, like, directly, like, it was, with Maggie, it, there was like emotional repercussions for both her and Glenn and their relationship, but here it's, what we need to know is that it was so bad that she ended up trying to cut her arm off. But yeah, it was only, Dawn only brought it up to the other cop when she was already like pointing a gun at him and like, it was pretty clear she was going to have to do something. And the thing about that is, he said, all I have to do is yell. And she said, I'll say that you charged at me. Door swings both ways, my ass. Cop whose name I don't remember, who's abusive to the elderly for no reason. Not that there's any reason, obviously, but it was such a, like, Jesus Christ. The sewing was not to his satisfaction, and so he shoves the senior frickin' citizens of the crown. Jesus Christ, what an asshole. But yeah, that's, because the person charged at me. That's what cops say when they want to get away with murder. So yeah, if a cop shoots another cop, and claims that the shootee charged at the shooter, does it make a sound? Not if the gun is silenced. And I quite appreciated the subtlety of like Carol does wake up, but it's not like, it's just like background, of that shot. And then the next time we see her, she's, they're transporting her in a wheelchair. And that brings us to the big, oh wait, shit, I completely forgot to, god damn it. So Gabriel went to the school, finds the meat, and is repulsed. I guess he's not that hungry. And god damn it, Gareth. Or was it Garth? It was something along those lines. One of the other cannibals fucking told you, is it really a good idea to just leave them in there just hammering on the door? Like, is this not gonna end badly? And yeah, it did with Gabriel. And then the motherfucker leads this, horde back to the two people, or three people that he was, two survivors and a baby, that he was, supposed to be helping protect, or not, yeah, at least not fucking condemned to death. Jesus. And yeah, I think, yeah, and he's not even able to crawl back in. That would at least mean that the only way the walkers could get in was through the floor hole, which can only support one person at a time, which would give a Thermopylae style advantage, but obviously fuck the fascist politics of the 300 movies. Well, that makes it sound like there's 298 more films than the two movies, both named 300. But yeah, he and he's outside, he's begging to be let into the church. And I was wondering if they were actually gonna kill off the character, because, like, yeah, that's kind of sort of what he let happen to his constituents, But yeah, they and I appreciate that it wasn't, Carl wasn't really able to do much, but yeah, she quite quickly managed to make the door accessible again. And yeah, they get him inside, and they end up leaving through the floor hole, and he does hold the door. Who says chivalry is dead? But yeah, that is a. And I like that, I was wondering if one of the other two was going to give him credit for, oh, there's blood on your machete. Good job on your first zombie kill. And he'd be like, thank gravity. But I think that, and that was also, I love that when they hear him shout, we quickly see what they were doing, and yeah, like she was like playing with Judith, and you see like a smile on her face. I think, yeah, both of them were playing with Judith, but she specifically was like holding Judith, or something along those lines, So yeah, um, I know by now, say it with me. I adore her as an aunt. It's just wonderful to see. Yeah, that brings us to the prisoner exchange. I love the use of Dutch angles. Um, to slightly paraphrase, I believe it was Roger Ebert, the director here understands that sometimes we tilt the camera. But unlike Battlefield Earth, here the director understands why sometimes we tilt the camera. Extremely effective. Like we Jesus Christ, it was so tense and suspenseful. I genuinely was not sure exactly how it was gonna end up, and yeah, they both parties agree to specific terms, and then you know suddenly Dawn says, "No, I'm keeping Noah." And Rick says, "Our deal did not include you taking Noah," to which she simply responds, "I've altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it any further." And yeah, the thing about, yeah, Rick at first is like, "No, this was not what we agreed." And like Dawn knows that. She knew that he would say no to this, so she didn't present it until they're already all standing there in the hallway. Because like at that point, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what exactly would have happened. But yeah, like I wouldn't rule out that Dawn would have ordered, yeah, the cops to fire on the other group. I mean, both of them are yeah, equally exposed. So yeah, 50-50, which might be the best odds she's had in years. Yeah, I think that brings us to the yeah. And yeah, at first Rick says no, and Noah says it's okay. He's accepted it. This is just this is Dawn, and her line about, they always come back. Do they? Or do you try to force a situation where it seems like they came back? I mean, he was there with a gun. He was there as muscle, essentially. But yeah, she says she needs a mentee, someone to mentor, and I mean, I think she wants someone to groom. Not sexually. The other kinds, and also not like hair. Um, yeah, I and yeah, Beth is like, I know how it is now. And I mean, she must have known that it would not end well, but she just didn't. She refused to accept that this is how it would go. Um, yeah. Uh, Jesus Christ. And the what was the other thing? Yeah, we have the thing about let's see, the thing with the time where she talked a little bit about the guy who was in charge before, and how she was the one who killed him, and the others refused to. They just couldn't bear to do it, and yeah, just and the fact that once Dawn is dead, ding dong, the Dawn is dead, the other cops just sort of lose interest in fighting, and they like specifically, the young woman says, we don't want to. It was her, you know. She, Dawn, insisted that this is how it had to be. And obviously there were at least some cops who wanted it, wanted to be allowed to do the awful things they got to. But once those cops were dead, and I mean, if Dawn didn't think she needed the muscle, which I appreciate why she felt that she did, but if she had accepted that, if she felt that she didn't need them, she wouldn't have had to be, the the dictator that she ended up being. And I mean, they even talk about, well, you can stay here at the hospital, And Rick says no, and says, anyone who wants to come with, um, come with now. And yeah, God damn it. Hasn't Maggie lost enough? I do appreciate them spreading these out so that it doesn't get to be just like, okay, you know what, this is too much. Yeah, I think that pretty well covers. Yeah, very cool to see. Shit, I forget his name, but the Lenny James character in the post-credit scene. Yeah, he finds the map, so I'm a little worried that he's gonna go to DC. Right. It was also very cool when the so it's like, oh, how are they gonna stop all the zombies at the church? And I did also appreciate that there was, they did get some out of the pipes. They they are a colon. But yeah, you have the several walkers there, and then a truck, the fire truck just runs over into the pipes and over some walkers, because we didn't need to see the three of them, with the fish and all, getting back to the truck, or Eugene being loaded back into the truck, Abraham getting into the truck, these various things, much less like the drive there, because we already knew, well, it's not that far of a drive. They didn't drive for terribly long time. There was, at one point they lost their vehicle and then had to get another, and then they had to clean that one before they could, and then they had to get some water. But now they have the water, and there's nothing wrong with the fire truck because Eugene isn't, awake enough to sabotage it. Yeah, that was a very, very nicely done. We had just enough, like we could piece together what must have happened without seeing it. Yeah, very effective. Yeah. I don't want to go out on the sad note of Beth's death. So yeah, it was so cool when yeah, in the church, she gets out the sword again. So fucking cool. because there's some zombies in really bad need of a perhaps slightly over-enthusiastic haircut. Listen, she came to this church to soothe Judith and make minced meat out of goddamn walkers. And guess what, motherfucker? The baby's asleep.